Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday in whatever way this Tuesday finds you. I have been traveling a lot. I've been spending time with family. So my Mondays have not been advantageous for me to share videos while I've been on planes and traveling and things. But I wanted to hop on here because it is the last day of the year on the Western calendar for 2024. And this is a time when people tend to post a lot or think a lot about the year that they've had. Maybe they set resolutions or intentions or goals or thoughts for the year that is coming. And something that came up with a friend of mine was that she was saying something along the lines of like, oh my gosh, I only accomplished like one or two things that I had set out for myself for this year. What is so important is not really whether you accomplish the thing that you started the year wanting to accomplish. It's not always very important. What matters is who you are as you're pursuing those goals. And the reality is that stuff can happen that will change where our focus has to be for a while, right? It is, I don't know anyone who can think of what their whole year is going to look like ahead of time and have that actually roll out, right? People get sick, people pass away, people lose jobs, people have job opportunities, friendships, relationships start out of nowhere, right? So the wonderful things and the painful things that happen, they're going to sometimes change the way that our year evolves. And that is exactly right. And it is always more important to be living in the moment, to be connecting to what is asked of you now, than to worry about whether the image that you had set out in your head is being replicated in real life. It rarely is. And often if we're so stuck with the plan that we refuse to adapt, or we refuse to improvise, we refuse to be there for other people, we can really miss out. The moments that really matter can be the things that are happening that are unrelated to the goals that you set for yourself. Accomplishing things, setting intentions, I think that they're really important. This is something that I learned when I was running occupational therapy sessions with children, and then also as I shifted more into a role of a teacher, and also in my mental health sessions, right? Is that I will come with a plan. Also as a director, I'll come with a plan. And that planning process is absolutely required for my job, for me to show up prepared. But the plan has to be held lightly. It's okay to let it go. It's okay. I might have a client come in and they're dealing with something that just requires me to scrap the plan. But showing up with no plan is not me doing my job, right? And that is the way that it is in life, right? I have plans and intentions. I have values. I can reflect back on my year and I can think of what I learned and what I want to continue learning or continue setting forward in the next year. I can think about things that I have fallen down on, that I'm not happy with what I've done, and how I might want to take that failure, quotation marks, forward. And I can also celebrate what I achieved. And those things that I achieved, those things that I value, those wonderful accomplishments or wonderful relationships along the way, they may not have been things that I had expected to happen, right? And so if we only hold ourselves to some kind of rigid, imagined year that we started the year with, we're missing out. Life is happening. How are you living your values and showing up for that life, right? And this is predominantly about athletic coaching. So a perfect example is I was visiting my family and I was making time to go to my community center pool so I could swim, and their athletic center so I could lift weights. And one day my dad said, I'd really like to talk to you. Can I have half an hour of your time? And I was like, absolutely. So I waited for him to come back from breakfast, and we sat down. We talked for like 4 hours. And yeah, I had my bag packed. I was ready to go. I was dressed. And what was more important was sitting there with my dad, who is turning 80 next year, who is thinking about his legacy, who's reflecting on his time, who is grieving things that he needs to grieve and celebrating things he needs to celebrate. And it was more important that I was there with him for that period than any kind of workout or training session or plan, whatever that plan could have been, right? If I had been super rigid and I said, oh, your half hour's over. We got to be with people who need us. We've got to show up. We've got to be living our values. And it's not just about ourselves. It's about who we are in the world, who we're supporting, how we're creating opportunities for connection. Because for you athletes out there, that is a part of it. We are not automatons. If we were, we could simply show up and have people measure maybe our fast twitch muscle fibers, or who has more bone density or bigger heart or higher levels of certain hormones, and then we just give that person the award, right? There's so many variables that happen, which is why we race and why we train the way that we do. And part of those variables are about connection. They're about how we meet ourselves and each other, how we encounter ourselves and each other. They're about our why. And a big part of my why it has to do with my family. Sometimes when things are really, really hard on the race course, I will think about someone who I love dearly, who is going through a really hard time. And I will know that no matter what I'm struggling with in that moment, in that race, it does not compare to the incredible, strong people that I have around me who are dealing with things in their lives, in their bodies. And it gives me something to draw on. And I wouldn't have that if I didn't have relationships, if I didn't have connections, if I didn't have empathy, if I didn't show up in the world the way that I need to show up. So take time in the next day or the next week to reflect on your year, to think about what you've learned and what you might want to take forward into the next year. But do not beat yourself up if you don't feel that you accomplished a specific thing that you thought you might be accomplishing. It's amazing how many times I've pursued a goal, and in the pursuance of that goal, a different realization or a different learning opportunity or something showed up, and I went, oh, I have to refine where my trajectory is going. And if I had said, no, this is where I started, I have to keep finishing it, sometimes it ends up worse, right? So I hope that you have a wonderful new year. I'm going to be celebrating my new year with some rest, because I've had some long days and a lot of travel lately. And I hope that you bring in this new year in the way that you want to, and that you celebrate the achievements. And the achievements can simply be, I am still here. I am still here. That is a huge achievement. And maybe if you want, you think about the year ahead and some things that you might want to seeds you might want to plant, things that you might want to bring to fruition, but don't hold any plan too tightly. Be prepared to let go lightly. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye.